Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm back with another ScanNCut versus Handcut project for you, and it's the sloped flip lid gift box, which I found through a tutorial by ScanNCut of Mixed Up Craft. What I did was take her pattern and just re-engineer it to create, first of all, the cutting file, and then followed her tutorial to create my own version of her sloped flip lid gift box. It's a very fun project, and it makes a delightfully sized gift box that you can fill with all kinds of goodies, especially chocolates. So if you'd like to learn how to make both the ScanNCut version using Canvas Workspace and then the Handcut version, stick with me and I'll show you how. I'm doing a re-edit of this video, which I uploaded about 6 months ago, and unfortunately it had a corrupted audio to the beginning of the video, and I only just found out about it. So I'm very grateful to a couple of people who reached out to me to let me know that there was a problem with it. So because I cannot find the original footage, I'm just going to recreate the portion that has the corrupted video or the corrupted audio in it, and then what I'll do is I'll splice it in with the rest of the YouTube video so that it will all be corrected. So I'm very sorry to anyone who may have come across some frustrations with this, and I'm very happy to redo it, no problem at all. So again, I'm very sorry. So the first thing I need to do is to bring in a square, and I'm going to resize this to 10 by 8 1/4. So because it's no longer going to be just keeping the aspect ratio, we'll unclick that and we'll put in the new values of 10 by 8 1/4. So I'll just give it some color in here. And I'm going to now cut out a portion of these two corners here to the right. To do that, I'll use another square. I'm going to resize this to 1/2 inch in width and 2 1/4 in height. I'll just give it a different color so you can see it better. And I'm also going to duplicate that because we need one for this end as well. So let me zoom in. And now we're going to select these two shapes here, the pink one and the yellow one. We're going to align them to the right and to the top. And with those two shapes still selected, go down to Process Overlap and click Subtract, and that has cut that cleanly out of that corner. Go to the other end, we'll do the same here. Now you'll see that this is behind. We don't want that. We need that piece that we want cut out or punched through to be on top here. So bring it to the front. Again, we'll select these two shapes. We'll align them at the bottom and at the right. And again, subtract. And there we have our pieces cut out here. Next, I need to put a score line in here because this is going to be a tab here. So I'm going to place it in the corner of this mat using the X and Y to help me do that. So I'll put 0 and 0, and now it's placed it right into that corner there. I'm going to place my score line from here to here. Place my path tool here, holding the shift key. Let's do that again. And I'll change that to a dash pattern. And then I can place this in position, and it's exactly where I want it to be, 9.50. And it begins at 2.25 and comes down to this point here. You could make this a little bit shorter if you like. It really won't matter. So the next thing I need to do is to come over to the left-hand side here, and we're going to put 2 cut lines here. We'll redo them again at the bottom here, but we're going to do these 2 first. So remember, this is still locked down, so we need to put a cut line and that is going to be 2 1/4 inches in length. And then we can place it using the X and Y at 2 1/4 and at 0. I'm going to duplicate this. And we're going to move it down to 4 1/2 and 0. And if you like, you can go ahead and group those. It doesn't really matter at the moment. So let's just take a look at what we've got so far. Zoom back out. Right, and now I'm to the point where the audio will be corrected. So I'm going to splice in the rest of the video from this point on, and I thank you very much for all your patience. Right, let's go back to the other side. Let's unlock this just a moment, and we can make sure that goes to the back so we can still see our score lines. Okay. Right, now we need another cut line at the other end. So what I'm just going to do is highlight both of these. Since we need 2 score lines, I'm going to duplicate them and group them for now, and move them down to the other end. So they are going to now be at 2.25 and 6. You can see that they are opposite each other. In between, we're going to have our score lines. So for those, I'm just going to do that again. Make another score line. And I'll change that to a dash pattern. Change the length to 3.75 and we'll place it at 2.25 and 2.25. So now we have cut lines on either end and then our score line in between. So we'll duplicate this and it is going to move over to the 4.5 inch axis and 2.25 on the Y. And we have our score line here for our tab. Next, we want to put in the horizontal lines, and those are going to be score lines. So for the first one, just take that and change the length to 9.5. Since we've taken off a 1/2 inch here, and that's going to go on the X at 0 and the Y and that's going to go on the X at 0 and the Y at 2.25. Also is going to be a dash line. We can then duplicate and send this to 6 and 0. So we've got a dash line going all the way across and all the way across here. So let's group all these together for the moment. And now what we're going to do is to create another score line and a cut line that are going to be at a diagonal. I'll show you how I've worked out to do this. Move that out of the way for now. I'm going to be working here in this section. And I'm going to bring in a square that measures 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. I'm going to duplicate that because I need one for the other side as well. This I'm going to place at 7 1/4 by 0 on the y-axis. This one is going to go at 7 1/4 also, and then the y will be 6. And now I want to cut a diagonal piece out of what almost like a triangle, essentially, out of this piece here. I need a score line as well. So for that, I'm going to expose the nose, and I think this is the one I want to. Yes, I'm going to bring that down because it's going to be a shape that's going to go like that. Then I'm also going to delete this line here. That leaves me with this diagonal line that I can then turn into a score line. So you'll see where it's at now, 7.25 and 6. And I'm going to use the dash pattern to make that the score line. Okay. So on the opposite side, we'll go in the opposite direction. Expose the nodes and we'll take that line out, and this one here. Take that line out. Then that leaves us with the diagonal line, which we will turn into a score line. And again, that will be at 7.25 and 0. So we have that. We need to make that a dashed line. So it's going from this corner here, which was formed after we sliced off that rectangle, and then down to this point here. So it's a score line. Now we need a tab. The reason we're making these tabs is so that we have tabs that will fold in, and then we'll keep the contents of the box secured so that there aren't any gaps at the side. And to make this, we bring in another square. Just zoom out a bit. I'll bring in a square that I'm going to change to 1.5 inches. So 1.5. And I'll duplicate that. One is going to go here, into that corner there. Then that is going to be, I'll just zoom in for you. This is going to be placed at 8. And at 0. It's going to go into that corner there. This one is also going to be at 8 and at 6. We are going to expose the nodes on this one. There's what I want. So that leaves me this triangle here that I can subtract from my main shape. So I've unlocked that. So I can select it and select that triangle and then go to Process Overlap, Subtract. Let's cut that corner out. Just send that to the back. We'll be able to see. Here's our score line for our tab. And we're going to do the same thing at the other end. So we need to expose those nodes. Right. And this that needs to be at 6.75. Not 6, it's 6.75. So now we can do that again. Start with my 1.5 inch square, and then that is going to go at 8 and 6.75. So scratch what I showed you before. On this end it's 6.75. So then we can expose the nodes and what we want is actually on this end. So now we have the triangle here in the corner, just like we did at the other end. We can select both of these, make sure that's still at 0, it is, and use Process Overlap and Subtract. And now we can send that to the back. And we have all the score lines that we need. Just going to double check here to lock that in place. We need to group all of that, and then we can move that aside now. Next is the lid. Now for this, we're going to go back over and create another square that I'll resize to 3 3/4 inches in height and 4.5 inches in length. Going to color that as well and place it at the corner of the mat. I will be placing a 1 inch score line here at 1 inch. So that means the remainder of this rectangle is going to be 3.5 by 3 3/4. So here's how I'm going to create an aperture. to bring in a square and change it to 3.5 by 3 3/4. 0.75. Right, so that will be like that. What I'm going to do is create an offset in the middle of that. I'm going to make it 1/2 inch inward with a bevel corner. All right. I'll take that and I'll just group it for now. And I'm going to place it here and align it. You can align it to the bottom and then to the right. Then what I'll do is ungroup this. Get that back again. Let's ungroup it. We'll remove that. Okay, so we've back to our original 4.5 by 3 3/4, and we have our aperture, which we're going to use the divide function. Right, so we've got that piece which has been cut out of the middle there. I'm going to use this as my guide on how what size to make my frame. So I'm going to bring in another square. This time it's going to be a scalloped edge. I'm going to make it the same size as the aperture, and that's just to begin with. So 250 by 275. So let's change this to 2.5 by 2.75. So these are the same size, but of course we don't want it that small. We want it to be out to the edges like that. So what I'm going to do is going to go back and maintain the aspect ratio and increase it. Okay, then we have this piece. I'm going to leave that aspect ratio on, and I'm going to decrease it. I think I'll bring it up. So it's 2 1/4. So now we can align this and divide it. So we have our piece that is going to go on top here, and you can see that's easily going to cover that aperture. So I want another one of these, so I'm going to duplicate this. Don't need that any longer. I'll place the lid in the corner at 0. And I'm going to place a score line that will be 3.75. And it's on the X at 1, which is good. That's what we wanted, and we wanted to turn into a dash pattern. So there is our score line. Now we can just group this all together. We have our lid with the aperture cut out. We've got the frame to go around it, both at the front and the back. Right? So the only thing we have left to do now are to make the handle and the mats. So if you want a handle, you could cut it out, you know, by hand if you wanted to. But I'm going to just make a quick version here by bringing that down to about perhaps a little over 1/2 inch. Maybe we'll go with 3/4 of an inch. 0.75 and 8.5 inches. Plenty. That will be for our handle. And for the mats, we're going to need a mat that is going to cover this section here, and at the front of the box here. So for the front, we want a piece that measures 3.5 by 2. So 3.5 by 2 inches. So that's going to be the mat. And then the layer that's going to go on top, we'll make that 3.25, 3.25 by 1 3/4, 1.75. So they will go on like that. For the angle pieces, for the side, we're going to bring in shape that is 2 inches by 4 5/8, so that's 4.625. This is going to be the mat. I'm going to place that in the corner. And then I'm going to bring in another square. I'm going to put at 2 inches square. I'm also going to place that in the corner. So those are perfectly aligned. And much like we did with when we made the angle cut on the sides, I'm going to expose the node. And remove one of the lines that we can then highlight both of these. Make sure they're still aligned. Go to process, overlap and subtract. So we have the first of our mats. What we need to do is duplicate that and that one will be cut out in the other orientation. So you could have one on one side like that and one on the other side like that. Then for the layer, all I'm going to do is resize this by duplicating it. And I'm going to resize it to 1.75 by 4 and an eighth, so that's 4.125. And then when I get ready to mat and layer that, it will go in like that. So I'll duplicate that. And that's going to be for that side. So those are our mats and layers for the front and for both of the sides. I'm going to zoom out to the mat and bring in our base, and I'll show you how these will then fit into here. Let's take this one. I'm going to turn it 90 degrees, and then you'll see that that will fit right in to that place there. And then of course we have our layer as well. Rest of the objects, bring those in, and for this strap I'm going to change the size of that to 1/2 inch rather than the 3/4 of an inch. And then we've got our lid as well. So I can get these all ready to send over to cut out. Just want to be sure these aren't grouped because I want those cut separately, of course. I'm just going to keep them together now just to make room on the mat. And that is everything done. I have saved this, and now I'm going to send it to the machine so we can cut this out and place it. Oh, I think I've got a piece here that's touching. There we are. And we shall send that over, cut this out and put it together. And then I will follow up with the hand cut version. So if you would like to stick around for that, please do. If not, then I'll say goodbye to you here. And until we meet again, please stay safe and crafty hugs. Bye. Here are the pieces for the sloped flip lid gift box. I'm going to start with the main piece, which is this. And it's fairly straightforward. We're just going to fold and burnish all these score lines. So, what's going to go together is these tabs here will be together like that, and then you'll fold this sloped side down to join at those ends, and then you have your tabs here which will keep the sides from gaping open, and then you have your place for your lid and your strap to be attached. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is glue these sides down. And I'm going to make sure I have the folded edge on the outside, so that gives a nice, neat appearance, so you don't have a raw edge there. And just give that a little bit of pressure. Get that glue out to the edges. And then you can place the glue on the outside box here. And then just fold this over and square it up on the side like that. Do the same on this side. If you would like to strengthen the bottom of this box, just take a piece of offcuts from your cardstock and cut it slightly smaller than the actual bottom. So I've cut this at 1 7/8 by 3 5/8, I believe. Yes, 3 5/8. So you can just place that in the bottom, and then that will help to strengthen that. Just let it drop down inside. Yeah, I just push that down. And before we add the lid, I'm going to add the mats and layers, because it's a lot easier while I can still get my hand in here to give any pressure. So I've got my mat and my layer for that. Papers that I'm using for this is the first edition Grand Plans paper pad, and then this is the American Craft cardstock. Remember, when you're cutting your sides, let me just straighten that back out again, that you need to be mindful of the direction of the angle and your pattern. So if you want your pattern to go in a certain direction, you want to be sure that you've placed it on your mat the right way, or you'll actually turn your shape the right way. So there's where we are so far. Put a tiny bit behind here. Okay. We have this strap which needs to go on. I've cut this at 1/2 inch by 8.5 inches, which is plenty. You don't have to have a strap if you don't want one, but if you do, it's best to put it on now before the lid goes on, because then the lid will help to secure that in place as well. My acetate, which is going to go in there, and I'm going to use some of this quick grab glue to secure it, since it's not going to be showing. I'm going to attach the lid here along the top. I'm also going to place, in addition to that tape, I'm going to put some of this glue on here as well. See, it's quite a good size, just to give you an idea about how much room there is in there. Those easily fit in there, and of course you might be filling yours with lovely chocolates, which would look very nice indeed, or maybe just a little small gift of some kind. So to secure this now, of course, now as I said, we have these flaps here which help to keep that from gaping open and anything falling out. And then for the front here, we're going to have a closure. And you could use a magnet. I'm going to use these hook and loop dots. So I'll place them together like that. You could have another piece across here, which actually would help to strengthen that. So I will probably add that as well. You could use that as a sentiment. So I'll just hand cut a piece, but then I'll go back into the file and add this. And this is about 3 3/4, of course, and it's 1 inch. So I'll cut that 1/4 inch smaller, and I think I still have some of this matching paper. So I'll cut that, and we'll place that on there as well. This piece that is 3.5 by 7/8 of an inch. As I said, that's going to help strengthen that pull tab as well. Just go across like so. Have this little hand rolled rose that I'm going to put on the front, and for the moment I'm just going to use some of this red liner tape, and then later I can go back and use my glue gun to attach that more permanently. But for now I think that looks rather sweet. And there is our sloped flip lid gift box complete. ScanNCut file worked out very nicely. I will include this as a free download in the FCM Brother format. I'll go back and add the mat for that piece there as well. Now, for those of you who are interested in seeing this made in the hand-cut version, then stick with me. I'll show you how that's done as well. Start with a sheet of cardstock, just some white cardstock from my stash, and it is an A4 piece, so I only had to cut one side because A4 is 8 1/4 inches, and then I just trimmed it to the 10-inch I need. So start with 10 by 8 1/4, and then on this long side, on the 10-inch side, score it at 2 1/4 inches, at 4 1/2, at 9 1/2, and then turn it to the 8 1/4 inch side and score it at 2 1/4, and at 6. And there is your main piece. Just set that aside a moment. We'll fold and burnish this, and we have some cutting we need to do as well. We have this tab here, which is where the lid is going to be attached. On these ends where this 1/2-inch tab is, you want to remove both of these rectangles. Up and remove that score line there. So I've cut slightly to the left of that. And then slightly to the right. And that'll take that bump out of there. Now here on the sides, we have these score lines at 2 1/4. We want to cut up that score line and free that tab and cut up this one. So you're only going to that first score line there. Do the same on this side. This will then form your bottom. Okay. Fold it in like that, and then this is going to fold over like so. But we need to do some cutting here, and how you can do this is you want to sort of bring your ruler in, and you're only going to be cutting from that corner there where the rectangle had been removed, and you're going to come down at an angle to meet this piece here. I'm going to do this. Now ScanNCut shows you a different way, but I'm going to show you how you can use a measurement at the same results. So just along this edge here, come up 2 1/4 inches. I can use my mat here actually to do that. So that's 1, 2 1/4. Got a little tick mark there. Then I can place my ruler, and starting from that point up to this point here where you took the rectangle off, just draw a pencil line there. Then come in a 1/2 inch from there. So that should be up there. I'm going to draw another line there. This is going to be my cut line. This is going to be a score line. So cut this off here. You can either put this in your scoreboard, or you could take a stylus, or in this case a bone folder, and just hold your ruler there and go back and forth and make that score line. So what that's going to do is give you a little tab here. It's going to fold inwards and will keep anything from coming out of the sides. So this will go up here like this now. Be glued like so. So you could do the same thing on the other side, or you could use this as your template. I'm going to place that back on my grid. Come in 2 1/4. I have a piece that measures 4 1/2 by 3 3/4, and on the 4 1/2 inch side, score it at 1 inch. I'm going to fold and burnish that. This will then be attached like that onto the front. Now you can leave this solid if you like, or you can cut out an aperture. You could use a rectangle, a square, a heart, a circle, whatever you like. Now, I'm very limited as to what I have, so what I've done is I did have this little frame die, which I thought I'd place in here. And the inside of it, what I've done is just the waste from this piece, just put on a bit of card to make it a little stronger. I'm just going to place it so it's fairly central there. Like that, and then I'll trace around it. Actually, what I'll do, I think, is I've got that pencil line there so I can match this back up. I'm just going to attach this then I can use my craft knife to go round and cut that out. Place this frame then on the front here. Piece of acetate, which I'm going to place on the back here. I can trim that a little bit. And then that other frame is going to go onto there. I attach the lid. I'm going to do the mats and layers. And for that, I have these pieces. I'm going to go onto the side. So they'll be like that. And here on the front. So this piece, the mat, measures 3.5 by 2 inches, and then the layer on top measures 1 3/4 by 3 1/4. Place that together. And for these sides, all we need are, place that right there. These sides, what I need to do is to measure up. This piece is for the mat, and it is 2 by 4 5/8. And I'm going to measure up 2 inches. I just place that on my mat. That's 2 inches there. And then I can draw a line from that tick mark to the corner there. And that will be my cut line. I'll do the same for this piece. Now I want this textured side up, so I'll do this one from the other side, the right side. Again, go from that tick mark to that corner there. went a little bit off there, so we'll do that again. 2 inches. Right, now for the mat, or the layer, these are 1 3/4 by 4 1/8. So again, we want to do them opposite. I can use this side to actually draw on if I need to. So for this, I'm going to measure up 1 7/8 of an inch. So 1 7/8. That's 3/4. 1 7/8 be here. Going to go up to that corner again. So that will be cut out like so. I'll just use my scissors here. You put this in your trimmer. And that will go like that. So this one needs to be the opposite. You can actually use this, if you like, as a template. Before I connect the lid, I'm going to put the handle on. You don't have to do this handle. Don't want to. Now I've made this 1/2 inch, and it's going to go onto that tab, and then the lid is going to be placed over top of it. And the straight edge is the part that's going to be on the front there. So you can see now that these tabs mean there are no gaps on the side. So if you didn't want to have the strap, you could just finish it off by placing your glue there and attaching your lid. Want to strengthen the bottom of this, it would be best to do it now because you can still get your hands in there. So I've cut this piece here to just slightly smaller than the bottom. So the bottom is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. So I've cut this to 2 1/8 by 3 5/8. So you can just place this down there to give it a little more stability. Just drop that in there and just go in with bone folder. You can just take your fingers and go in there like that. Now you can also cut another piece for the back to strengthen it if you like, or if you're giving this as a gift and you want to leave a little message, you could do that as well. Just cut another piece of cardstock slightly smaller than the back half of this, which is of course 1 2 3 4 5 inches by 3 3/4. So put this other mat on now as well, on the front. My hook and loop dots here, which I'm going to place together, and then I can position them within that 1 inch section there. So put this one on first. I can get in there and press that down, and then that can just come over. Give that a bit of pressure. And lift it up very gently. We can press that in place, and you can see you have quite a lot of room here, and just load that up with those little bits there. You'll get an idea of how much it will actually hold. Just put those in there. And of course, fill it with any gift, or especially little sweets or chocolates, and that is going to make a very lovely gift box. That is the sloped flip lid gift box. Those bits out, and you can do any other decoration you'd like. You could have this in a colored cardstock or even a pattern cardstock, whatever you like. And then if you wanted to, you could have a sentiment across here or even down here. There you have it. I'm just going to leave it at that. And lift it up very gently. Okay. We can press that in place, and you can see you have quite a lot of room here, and just load that up with those little bits there. You'll get an idea of how much it will actually hold. Just put those in there, and of course fill it with any gift, or especially little sweets or chocolates, and that is going to make a very lovely gift box. That is the sloped flip lid gift box. Those bits out, and you can do any other decoration you'd like. You could have this in a colored cardstock or even a pattern cardstock, whatever you like. And then if you wanted to, you could have a sentiment across here or even down here. So whatever is your preference, ScanNCut or Handcut, it's up to you. So much for watching, and I do hope that you are enjoying this series on the ScanNCut versus Handcut. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. And if you are subscribed to the channel, thank you so much indeed. I do appreciate all your support, and if you're not, please consider doing so today. Until we meet again, please stay safe and crafty hugs. Bye.